Hey, thanks everybody for coming back. Check this out. I want to talk about a couple of things today and notice how I'm just jumping right into it because I don't know. A couple of interesting stories. One is about today's topic, obviously, and then I want to talk about something that I've spoken about a while ago and just follow up on that. As far as the topic is concerned, it centers around an article that I read on Vice.com. I knew there was a Vice network and a Vice TV show on HBO, but I didn't know, I never really actually went to the website. So it was interesting when I did notice that there was a website and saw this article. But the article that I saw, it talks about the challenges of being a short man when trying to date. Now, the topic of height has been something that me and Reggie, yes, that Reggie, a topic that we've spoken about quite often. We've even had women on the podcast that have mentioned that as a deal breaker when it came to dating, that, height is a major factor in determining the type of man that they want. It is, like I said, a deal breaker. It's funny, and I've told this story in the past about a former coworker who is literally 4'11". I am not exaggerating. She's 4'11". And I say that she was 4'11". She was a grown woman's, so and she is a grown woman still. And I'm imagining she's also still 4'11". So saying that she was 4'11" implies that she might have grown, but she did not grow since she was past the age of growing, unless she was some kind of like weird freak. Anyway, that's neither here nor there. Anyway, the point is that I was having a conversation with her back in the day, and I was fascinated to find out that she wanted a man that was over 6 feet tall. Now, wanting someone that's taller than you is one thing, but more than a foot taller, I've said, and I still think that as long as a dude is taller than you are, ladies, when you have heels on, you should be good. But with that said, I can't judge anything. We like who we like. We like what we like. And considering what some have told me about some of my deal breakers, who am I to criticize? Even though I don't really think I had too many deal breakers, or that my deal breakers are irrational. People just like to pick on me just because I'm single. And yeah. Anyway, it's neither here nor there either. The article, as I said earlier, it speaks to the difficulty that short guys have in finding women that'll give them a legitimate shot. The writer, who was a woman, it was interesting to note. Um, she interviewed several guys, and these guys were between the heights of 5'4" and 5'6". And she was interviewing them about the struggles that they have in dating. And a couple of them have just pretty much left the dating scene altogether, pretty much accepting that they're just meant for a life of being alone. And that sucks, man. Man. And despite how cavalier some women are and joking about short guys and all that, it sucks to think that someone will be alone because of something that they can't change for the rest of their lives. That's whack. It kind of made me sad. I'm not 5'4" or 5'6", but it sucks. I feel for my brothers. Now, with that said, you talk about being alone at that height or whatever. There are exceptions, obviously. Your Kevin Harts, your Princes, God rest the dead. Prince wasn't just short. Prince wore heels, and maybe he wore heels because he was short, but you know. And there's Tom Cruise, who is deceptively short, but really people say that people say Tom Cruise is like 5'7", which is starting to get past the, well, still short. Anyway, the point is that those exceptions, they all have one thing in common, or in Prince's case had, because he's no longer with us, they have money. And so if you are between the heights of 5'4" and 5'6", the one thing that you would think could combat that would be having a little change in your pocket. The more money that you have, the less height appears to matter. But this isn't like a new thing to see how much money matters to women. And ladies, I'm not saying that's a bad thing. Like I said earlier, we like what we like who we like. Who am I to judge? It's just interesting to me how money trumps so many other things to women. Probably in the same way that being fine trumps so many things for us fellas. A woman can get away with a whole lot of mess the finer she is, in the same way that a dude can get away with a whole lot of mess, depending on how much money he has. But we like what we like. But going back to the short guys, if there was ever an incentive to getting out and grinding to make as much money as possible, it would be that if you don't make any money, you may never get a woman, or at least the woman that you would like to get. You might settle for some woman that you wouldn't be with under any other circumstances, but because you don't want to be alone for the rest of your life, you settle for that. But going back to the article again, as a matter of fact, that same article pointed to a study that was done that stated that a man that was 5'6" would need to make $175,000 more than someone who was 6 feet tall to be considered as desirable on the same level as that dude that was 6 feet tall. $175,000 more than that dude. Now, this study is far from scientific, I'm sure. How could that be scientific? As a matter of fact, I can hear some women listening to this podcast episode and saying that that dollar figure, $175,000 more a year, might be a little too low. For some women, you might have to be making in the millions to actually like get them to give you the time of day. You might have to be Kevin Hart and have Kevin Hart money. But regardless of the actual dollar amount, the point is made. Money matters, fellas. And if you're short, you better get out there and grind, because unfortunately, that might be the only hope that you have. And that sucks. The article also went on to talk about confidence and how that can counter some of the height issues to a certain extent, but only to a certain extent. The bottom line was, again, if you're short, boy, I like to end these things with a little bit more of a positive spin, but I really don't have one. Go make some money. And while you're making it, I hope it's legal money that you're making. I don't want you to be robbing people just to have a goal to make $1 million so you can get a woman, and then you get the woman and wind up going to jail. Kind of, anyway, it's neither here nor there. I'll tell you what, though, thinking back, I know a lot of women that used to date drug dealers. Anyway, that's neither here nor there. As I don't even know why I brought that up, just something about money. But that was the topic. That was brief. Let's move on. Okay. Now, what I wanted to follow up on was something that I talked about a while ago, and it's about Deshaun Watson. And for those that don't remember that episode, and I remember the episode vividly, but honestly, I don't remember the title of the episode. Sorry. So, with that said, if you don't remember the episode, or even if you do remember the episode and want to listen to it again, you have more than 100 episodes to go through. And I would love it if you went back and just re-downloaded all of them and just listen to all of them and tell 50 friends to tell 50 friends while you're at it. Me and Reggie would appreciate that. But anyway, Deshaun Watson is a quarterback. He plays in the National Football League. He used to play for the Houston Texans, and most recently, he's been traded to the Cleveland Browns as of last week. What makes this noteworthy is that it happened, the trade and his move from Houston to Cleveland, it happened while he has 22 women suing him for quote unquote sexual misconduct. Now, this is after two grand juries. I thought you only needed one, but I guess if these alleged offenses happened in different counties, cities, or whatever jurisdictions, I guess he was being investigated in multiple jurisdictions. But there were two grand juries, and they both found that there wasn't enough evidence to charge him criminally. So, like I just stated, now the 22 women have filed civil suits against him, since he won't be arrested or charged with anything criminally. Hey, let's try to get in those pockets. Hey, it is what it is. In the previous episode where I talked about this, I did mention that I read some of the female accounts from some of the female accusers. And while his actions seemed high schoolish, Immature, I didn't think of it as being criminal. First of all, none of these women say that he raped them or did anything like that. Thank goodness for that. These women were quote unquote massage therapists that he reached out to on Instagram, and that's why I say quote unquote when I mention massage therapist, because he's a 26-year-old man reaching out to massage therapists on Instagram. Now, I'll tell you what I make of that in a minute, but you probably can jump ahead and already come to your own conclusion as to what you would make of that. But we'll come back to that. So he flew some of them in, and while they were giving him quote unquote massages again, he would encourage them to massage him closer to his dick. Um, while there was one account where a woman said that his dick was hard, and while she was rubbing him on his leg, she was trying to encourage him to get closer to his dick, and she was telling him, don't worry about that. If it gets in the way, you can just grab it and move it out of the way. I Criminal. Yeah. One woman says that he was laying on the massage table face down and completely naked when she entered the room, when she was expecting that he would have a towel on. He was just butt ass naked. Criminal. Another woman talked about his dick being hard, and as she tried to walk past it some kind of way, he stuck it out and brushed it against her. So she brushed against it while she walked past his hard dick. Mm, okay. So I ask if any of that criminal. I bring this up because I watched Deshaun in the press conference the other day when he was being introduced by the Cleveland Browns, um, where he was essentially being treated as a rapist because, unlike me, most people won't read the actual accounts. And when you hear sexual misconduct, you'll probably think the way that I was thinking when I first heard those words, and think that he was trying to rape chicks, which would have led to this episode taking on a completely different tone. Um, so to counter the fact that he was basically being accused of being called a rapist by these reporters at this press conference, he was defiant and adamant that he'd done absolutely nothing wrong. As a matter of fact, the quote is that he said that he didn't commit any crime and he never disrespected any woman. That's interesting. Now, let me just go to the disrespect. Now, it's one thing to say that he didn't commit a crime. There were two grand juries that found that there wasn't enough evidence there. And these weren't situations where the women waited past a statute of limitation or they were intimidated from coming forward. They all came forward. They all gave depositions. They all told their story. And based on that, the police said, eh. So it has been proven not to be criminal. But it was interesting that he said he never disrespected these women. And let me just go into what I think you, like I said, I would get to, which you probably already pretty much assumed. Deshaun Watson is 26 years old. He was soliciting quote unquote massages on Instagram. Now, he also stated that he had many massages from many women, and some of these encounters with some of these women did end up in sex. So it sounds to me, and this is dating myself, showing my age and the age of the demographic of this podcast. Men slide in women's DMs, and you hear the stories of the Brittany Renners and the women like that. Shout out to Brittany, I guess, and women like that guys hit on, fly out. There's a big thing about a lot of women being flown out to Dubai, Instagram models and stuff like that by these sheiks and stuff. They have sex, pay them a lot of money, and send them back home. But Deshaun Watson seemed to be in that boat. That's the way it seems to appear. He was using Instagram as kind of like his prostitution ring under the guise of getting massages. And some of the women were down and understood what the deal was and was like happy to oblige, while others actually met up with him under the pretense that they were actually going to give massages. Wow, that was interesting that they would have assumed that, but this is the world that we live in. Not saying it's their fault that they were misled or whatever, but it goes back to the whole criminal versus disrespect. So when you say it wasn't criminal, it wasn't criminal. That's been shown to be the case. But to say you didn't disrespect these women, that's not something that a grand jury would decide. I think when you're talking about disrespect and did he disrespect these women or did he not disrespect these women? I think the women kind of have a say as to whether they felt disrespected or whether they were disrespected. For him to be adamant and to say that he never disrespected a woman in his life, eh, that was a bit of an extreme. And he could have just stopped at saying, I did not commit any crime. I did not do anything that was criminal to these women, but to take it that step further was just interesting to me. And along that same line, talking about that line or a line, I will say that there's a line between committing a crime and not doing anything wrong. And so while he might have been disrespectful to some of these women and some of the things that he had done, like I said, high schoolish ways, boorish ways, misogynistic ways, things like that. If nothing else, he used some pretty bad judgment if he has 22 women accusing him of anything. So that would be something wrong. Just the bad judgment in general. But there is a clear difference. It reminds me of the old days when I would go to the club, and every now and then you see a guy grab a woman's ass as she walked by, and she'd turn around and slap him or curse him out or something like that. And you ask the question, did he do something wrong? Yeah, most definitely he did. Did he commit a prosecutable crime? Eh. But with that said, if you're the woman that had her ass grabbed without permission, or in this case, a woman brought, I'm sorry, or in this case, a woman brought in under the pretense of giving a massage, only to find out that you're being hit on once you get there, I guess that you want to see some form of punishment. And slapping the guy at the club probably won't make the woman feel much better. It was just something that she could do, but still, especially after being violated by by a total stranger. And maybe these 22 women that thought that they were giving legit massages feel violated in their own way. And that's why they're suing. Maybe suing is the metaphorical slap that a woman would give the guy in the club for grabbing her ass. Hey, slap those pockets, get some change. Now, Deshaun has said that he's not settling, but everybody says that. Who knows? Now, on the other side of the coin, cynics would say that all of this is just a money grab and that those two separate grand juries refusing to take action prove that. And these women on Instagram that Deshaun hit up were just being naive, or maybe they weren't being naive. Maybe they were being crazy like a fox and figuring that this was their opportunity to shake him down for some money. I don't know. I honestly don't know. And I'm not trying to make it sound like I'm leaning one way or the other, or that I'm trying to offer my opinion or anything like that. If you're a woman and you're in that position and you felt disrespected, do you have the right to feel disrespected? Yeah, because even though people can, even though people can be naive, being naive doesn't mean that you deserve to be taken advantage of in any way, you know? Anyway, I must admit, going to Instagram to find legit massage therapists, that's a little strange to me. But like I said earlier, that could be more of a reflection of my age and the age of the demographic of this podcast. That's what 26-year-olds do. They live their lives on social media. And Deshaun, and during that press conference, even alluded to that, if not directly said that, hey, younger generation, social media. that's what we do. So I don't know. I go to Instagram just to look at pictures. I've never slid in a DM before. Maybe I'm missing out. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. I like I said, I wouldn't think that you would go to Instagram to find massage therapists, or maybe I wouldn't think that you would go to Instagram to find legit massage therapists, or I wouldn't think that you would go on Instagram if you are a legit massage therapist. But with that said, now that I'm talking this out to you all that are listening, eh, people promote other businesses on Instagram. I see that all the time. So why can't somebody promote their massage therapy business on Instagram? All fair. I promote this podcast on Instagram, Dating While Adulting. You can find it on Instagram. Yeah. So yeah, it just speaks to whatever it is. But again, being naive does not give you the right to be taken advantage of in any context. But with that said, make your own judgments. I'm a man. I've never had my butt grabbed in an unwelcome manner, and I've never been invited someplace under false pretense. Actually, neither of those are true. Both have happened to me. I have had my butt grabbed in an unwelcome manner. Now, with that said, when I say I didn't welcome it, I didn't mind it either, because when women have grabbed my butt that I didn't know, eh, I don't care. And if a woman has invited me someplace under false pretense, now it's kind of the reverse for a guy, because when I talk about false pretense, it might have been when a woman has invited me to her house and I was thinking that I was going to get some, only to find out that no, that's not what she had in mind. So that's inviting me someplace under false pretense. So it's the opposite of what these women were going through. And that's what men, I'm not the only one that's gone through that. You know, you go over there, you make sure you're ready, you have everything you need, you have your condoms in your pocket because you know that this is going to be the night, and then you get there and all she really wants to do is Netflix and literally chill. Anyway, but it's different. What is different from women. um in closing, I don't know. Deshaun Watson was cleared of any criminal charges, any and all criminal charges. Like I said, the women have all filed civil suits now. And through it all, he got a raise because the Browns, when they traded for him, they tore up his $160 million contract and rewarded him with a $230 million contract. Now, that part seems kind of weird, that you get a nearly $100 million raise in pay before all of this is resolved. I tell you what, through it all, talent trumps everything. And in the case of this podcast, talent and height, because Deshaun, he's over 6 feet tall. Well, talent leads to money, which leads to women looking past the height. So yeah, so if they make a 5'6" quarterback, you can make enough money and then you could get women. But to this day, there has not been a quarterback in any league that has been 5 feet 6 inches tall. So you might not want to try football as the way to make your money. Yeah, I tried to tie all that together, the Deshaun Watson thing to the height thing, but it didn't really work. But I thank you all for sticking around, for trying to walk with me while I kind of work through that, even though it didn't work. I, I, I don't know. It seems like I just spent this whole episode just talking with the idea of coming to a conclusion. And the only conclusion I came to in all of this is I don't know what to make of any of this. I don't know what to make of Deshaun Watson and all of these women. I might have an idea, but I don't know. I don't know what to make of these poor guys who are 5'6" or 5'7". I know women that won't date men that are 5'8" or 5'9". So I don't know what to make of that either. I don't know. When you all figure it out, let me know. Email me at michael@datingwhileadulting.com. Reggie, you're not 5'6", and last I checked, you're not getting massages from random women. Well, or are you? Are you paying? You paying women to give you massages? That probably wouldn't be advisable in your case, but I don't judge. Anyway, everybody, let us take care of each other. I'll tell you what, before I recorded this episode, I was watching this Netflix show, something about vegan, the bad vegan. I think is what that's what it's called. It's a documentary about this woman who opened up a vegan restaurant and fell in love with this dude that completely took advantage of her, and she wound up in jail because she was giving him money and stuff like that, blah 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 blah. I tell you what, it just emphasizes that, boy, boy, people are lonely out here, and lonely people do desperate lonely things, and it doesn't really get more desperate and lonely than giving somebody $1.7 million of your money because you love him. Boy, I tell you what, I know people will immediately be like, "Oh, that's silly and she's stupid and all that," but loneliness is real out here, people. God bless everybody. Reggie, come and say goodbye to the people. Reggie, come on, man. Stop tripping. Stop tripping. Well, maybe not. All right, y'all. Be safe out there. Love somebody. Love somebody in a healthy way, not in the Deshaun Watson way. Bye.